The following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
Best worst case scenario this year for the Chicago Bears.
Oh boy.
Look, they are on the hot seat. At the front of this team. Matt Nagy, Ryan Pace, it has not gone well, and they really, really have to hope that they hit a home run picking Justin Fields in the first round of this draft. Maybe that gives us a little bit more security of we may not have a great year this year, but you really shouldn't fire us because we made some strides. We had the onset of, the breakthrough, I guess, of David Montgomery at the end of last year. Of course, that was against a lot of the worst defenses in the league. So you could pump the brakes on the whole David Montgomery
bullshit. And also with the Trubisky at quarterback, who was more prone to RPOs and all kinds of different stuff.
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. For the Chicago Bears,
best case scenario.
I've always said certain people make the good girls go bad. Mm-hmm. Chicago Bears need to make the good teams look bad. Defensively, you better be real motherfucking good.
Yeah.
Because I feel like no matter what you do, you're going to have a quarterback. If you go Andy Dalton, your range of outcomes is your floor is probably higher, your ceiling is much lower. If you go Justin Fields, your ceiling is higher, but the floor is the floor.
Like
through the floor. like through the concrete.
Like digging to China kind of thing.
Not good.
Yeah.
Rob Johnson asked, is there still going to be a Patreon league? Yes, there is. And that one's going to be, we have something special planned for that one. We have a sponsor for that one that they really like taking their time responding. That's one of the biggest problems is that I do almost all of our interactions through email. So it's not like I can just call and go, hey, let's do this, because I don't have a fucking phone number. But yes.
Yes, there will be. If they go with Andy Dalton, I think they've done it wrong. To me, it's Justin Fields, and you see what you have.
Justin Fields buys you to the end of the year.
Yeah.
A lot of Bears fans say, we don't ever hire coaches in season. Okay, start Andy Dalton. Watch what happens going into the bye week. You start 3-5 going into the bye week that way. Yeah, I'll remind you that week 9 when Matt Nagy's giving his bye-bye press conference.
Yeah.
Because he was with his hat in his hand going, well, it didn't work.
Yeah. I
think they could do much more offensively if Justin Fields is the quarterback.
And that's the thing. You're talking about a guy who's supposed to be this offensive guru that makes all these things with Matt Nagy. I just don't see how there's such different quarterbacks that they're completely different offensive game plans, that if you don't just put it all in on Justin Fields, you're kind of you know where I'm going with this. Yeah. Like you have to practice one way or another. Like if you're going to go in all Justin Fields, you need to build the offense around him. And if you're going into the season thinking you're going to have Andy Dalton number 1, that means he's not going to get any reps because that's not kind of offense that you're going to run with him. And I think it's going to screw him.
I agree partially with what you said.
Yeah.
Justin Fields is going to get reps regardless. That's my problem. It would be real easy to just put Andy Dalton to be the backup if anything goes wrong.
Right.
Not saying you would ever bench Justin Fields because you won't. But I do think it makes all the sense in the world to go in with Fields as a starter. Yeah. I don't understand not going in with him as a starter.
It really kind of defies what I think about. It's not like you have it's not like you had Mitchell Trubisky there and Justin Fields is behind him and you can kind of run a very similar offense to him.
And here's the thing. I think the defense is really good.
I'm afraid that the releasing Kyle Fuller is going to have more of a different effect on it than it will.
Because I think Jalen Johnson's that dude.
Oh, okay.
I do. I think Jalen Johnson's that dude. He could have been Rookie of the Year last year.
And that's probably why they were
because the way the Bears play defense, yes, they play a nickel, but last year it was Buster fucking Screen.
Yeah.
As somebody that watched him with the Jets, there's a gray patch in the back of my head that I call the Buster Screen Memorial Patch of gray sadness.
Right.
Yeah.
So the combo of Artie Burns and Desmond Trufant, who I do like Trufant as the two here.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be fine. And I think the defense will be good enough. The question is, can Justin, like I said, your range of outcomes is so low with Andy Dalton that then it's game manager and we have to try to grind out 13 to 10 wins and bullshit like that. Fuck that. Your defense is good enough to cover the errors of a rookie quarterback. Justin Fields from week one, no doubt. And now I have warmed to Justin Fields. There will be growing pains, and I think it will ultimately get Matt Nagy. But if you see a growth with Fields and towards the end of the year this team looks right, I could see Nagy getting another year.
No, there is one problem with this team that I think that could hurt them in the Justin Fields category, but we'll get into that when we get into the one move to make this team better. Let's talk about worst case scenario first. Worst case scenario for the Chicago Bears.
Nagying issues remain.
You got the same problems with the head coaching staff. It doesn't look like it's kind of like a rudderless organization right now. They don't know which way they're leading. They know that the defensive side of the ball is good, but we don't know quite what we're doing on offense. And the whole problem with this Andy Dalton, feeling like you're pressured, and I don't know that this is the case, but it's the way everybody makes it feel, is that they're pressured to play Andy Dalton because of the 1 year, $10 million contract they gave him. And because of the $20 million that they have in Nick Foles. I don't give a fuck. When you have the dude on your roster who's going to be the future, I don't give a shit what you're paying his backups.
The money's irrelevant.
Right.
That's not the problem. The problem is, does Matt Nagy consider Andy Dalton to be the best chance to save his job? If he does, I think it's misguided. I'm going to level. I'm the draft guy.
Yeah.
So there are certain guys that I just fall in love with year over year. Khalil Herbert's one of those guys. Here's the path to righteousness for the Bears. And I understand we're talking about worst case scenario, and I'm leading into that.
Okay.
The best case scenario is you run Justin Fields. You trot Justin Fields out there with the intention of David Montgomery, Tarek Cohen, Damian Williams, and Khalil Herbert being – this line's markedly better. I like Tevin Jenkins. I like Cody Whitehair. I like James Daniels. Get out of Iowa that they took a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I see a path of this being a good running team. And you having Allen Robinson on the outside, who's a good blocker for one, and he's a very good receiver for two. But you've got Darnell Mooney and Anthony Miller and Marquise Goodwin and Damiere Byrd. All these guys are guys that can hurt you deep. So you can take the tops off of defense, but you can't have that with Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton doesn't have an arm that scares you. So they're going to load the box up and go, do your worst, Andy.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really scared of any of these guys. But if you put them one-on-one, I can get into mismatches and I can do things like that. That's the best case scenario, in my opinion. The worst case scenario is you roll with Andy Dalton, and you have a defense that sees a shitload of 7 in the box.
Yeah.
Because there's only one guy that scares you. So you double Allen Robinson, you deal with Cole Kmet, and you start off with the the Rams, the Browns, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, San Francisco, and Pittsburgh. That's 6 of your first 9 games. 4 of those are on the road. 4 of those are on the road. It could go very bad in a hurry.
Very fast.
And so to me, my fear is that you go in with Andy Dalton and a lot of the things, and Andy Dalton turns into a less turnover-prone, less athletic version of Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles. And it looks exactly like it's looked, and going into the bye week, he's LMNO fired.
And that's what Matt Nagy's done.
And Nagy's gone.
He didn't want Trubisky to begin with because he didn't want that. He thinks he could be doing the same exact thing they did with Trubisky, what they're going to do with Fields, even though I think Fields is a much better option than Trubisky is. But I can see him he seems like one of these guys that I'd rather have a veteran that I know can run my offense than leaning towards going towards a young guy. And it's gotten him in trouble year after year after year. And I think this is finally going to be his downfall because I think he thinks he's smarter than everybody in the room. And I think I honestly believe he's going to start Andy Dalton and it's going to be his downfall. And guess what, Chicago Bears fans? They will fire someone halfway through the season and it will be him.
I don't know about firing anybody before the season before the season is over, I should have said. But I do kind of believe that if they're not knocking on the door of the playoffs, regardless of what happens, they're gone. They're not going to allow them to do that. Again.
Because that's what they've done.
Right. They're not going to allow them to turn this into a Mitch Trubisky situation. If the Chicago front office is smart, they will not continue this experiment past this year unless Justin Fields comes out, they rejuvenate the offense, they re-envision the offense, and it's a high-flying kind of offense. You got the defense to be able to maintain against the better offenses in the league. It's the only way that you got to put up offensive numbers to be able to keep your job.
Right.
There's got to be growth. They may not make the play. They probably won't make the playoffs. I get that. But I think there is a path where maybe the team looks good enough on the field to where even not making the playoffs will save their jobs if they believe that they are on the right path.
If they're growing. That's the most important. Jason Trump said in the comments, do you play Dalton for 3 to 4 games and let Fields take over?
No.
The problem is there's not a sweet spot in the schedule.
Yeah.
Because you also play 2 bad teams in a row. Yeah, you can trot him out there against, let's say you trot him out there against Detroit. You're in Vegas the next week. Then you go Green Bay, Tampa Bay, San Francisco, Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. Gross.
And I just think that.
And if you put him in at the bye week, first game's against Baltimore.
Yeah.
Week 1, if you start him week 1, yes, you do have to start with you get the Browns and the Rams in 2 of your first 3 games. Mm-hmm. You also get Cincinnati, Detroit, and Vegas.
Yeah. And you also have a whole offseason of him being the number 1 guy in camp.
Getting the reps.
And getting everything. And
that, to me, is the path. Yeah. I'm not taking a quarterback, especially not trading up for a quarterback, that I'm going to sit behind Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
To me, that's the worst-case scenario. And is it Justin Fields only sees the field for 5 games this year, and next year we're doing the exact same thing with the Chicago Bears that we're doing with the Miami Dolphins right now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I saw a limited amount of a quarterback. Things didn't go exactly how I wanted it to. There were growing pains with the rookie. Is this the guy?
Yeah.
And if you just this is the guy.
Yeah.
Just this is the guy.
And I've just seen this happen. I mean, the Bears have had Rex Grossmans and Kyle Ortons and all these guys, and it seems like in the fan base has gotten behind Justin Fields. They're excited about Justin Fields, and I feel like it's just stop doing what you've done and do something different, and it might get a different result. I mean, definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results, and I feel like that's what the Chicago Bears have done for the last 10 years.
Yeah. I lost the comment in the comment section here, but somebody said they're taking a late round flyer, basically, on Justin Fields in their drafts. Yes. I agree. Because the upside is so big. I mean, if he can come in and stay healthy and they do re-envision the offense, he's going to be a great piece. And, oh, by the way, I just got him in the Scott Fish Bowl Best Ball League.
Yeah.
I feel pretty damn good about that. But
I think he's going to be like a Jalen Hurts in fantasy, where he's going to be a good fantasy quarterback, not necessarily a good quarterback.
I think he's going to be a better quarterback. I'm not saying I've completely warmed to Fields because there are deficiencies. I think if done the right way.
Yeah.
I don't hate the fit in Chicago as much now as I did. Mm-hmm. I still don't love the Nagy thing. I still don't love the uncertainty and all that shit.
The one thing you could do to make this team better, for me, it's the offensive line. You got to figure out, you got to make the offensive line a little bit better. Yeah. You're going to be happy with Jermaine Ifedi on the right side?
Yeah. He's a right tackle. Mm-hmm. In an offense where you're going to have Cole Kmet off the line a lot. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Nah.
My move, sign Allen fucking Robinson. Extend the motherfucker. Because he's the only receiver on this team that scares anybody. Mm-hmm. Set your rookie up for success, not failure.
Yeah.
I like the left side of this line. From Cody Whitehair left, I like it. Ifedi, is he some stalwart of offensive line play? No. Is he the worst right tackle in the league? No. I'm fine with all of that. Mm-hmm. It's lock up Allen Robinson and do it immediately.
Yeah.
Can you convince him to do that, though?
Having Justin Fields is not going to hurt. This is a hell of a lot better than catching passes from Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles.
I agree. But I also, is that a situation where he's going to have Chicago by the short and curlies and he's going to get everything he wants?
Maybe, and he deserves it.
Yeah.
But then are they damaging themselves by doing that?
No. He's 27 friggin' years old. Mm-hmm. This is the dude. Pay the dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Roll with it.
Yep.
I think improving the offensive line should be a better thing, because that's one of the things that Justin Fields did struggle with in college.
Yeah.
Was when he was getting steady pressure, he would
here's
fold
the question,
like a
how are you going to do that? The question is, who are you going to go sign that's in any form of improvement?
Yeah, now that's a question. That's a good question.
Mitchell Schwartz is the only answer, and I got news for you. He ain't going to Chicago.
Or Okung.
Okung's a left tackle, not a right.
Yeah, that's right.
I got news for you.
Tim Jenkins is going to play the left.
You get Rick Wagner in a hurry, and I got news for you. That ain't any better.
No.
DeMar Dotson's probably the second best right tackle on the market.
Yeah, that's not an improvement.
This is a question that might be a little bit off the path, but I wanted to ask it to you for a little bit, Jeremy, is how many I'm so sorry, cuts are there going to be that are going to be making a difference when it comes to, like, veteran cuts that are going to be big in free agency this year, do you believe?
I would say there will be less this year than there were before. So many teams had to do the calisthenics to get under the cap. That you got there's a lot of teams counting on a lot of young guys. So how many happen, when the rosters get trimmed down, guys that don't have a lot of guaranteed money, I could see a lot of movement the week before the season. I don't see a lot between now and then.
Okay.
I just think if you were going to make moves on guys, you'd already done it.
Yeah.
Because like I said, the cap calisthenics were so aggressive.
Yeah.